Hello everyone, welcome to the channel. Today I will be explaining the powers and abilities of the Wasp, aka Janet VanDyne. Janet has a pretty crazy origin, and the story starts with her father, Vernon VanDyne. Vernon VanDyne was a brilliant scientist, seeking to be able to communicate with extraterrestrial life with his machines. He sought the help of Dr. Hank Pym, who was a world-renowned scientist, and along with him he brought his daughter, Janet. Vernon asked Hank Pym for help, but Hank refused, as what Vernon was asking for was not a part of Hank's expertise. Janet took a liking to Hank, but initially, Hank was off-put by Janet, as she was the spitting image of his recently deceased wife, but just a little younger. Vernon continued his experiments alone, and they were successful. He brought forth an alien from another dimension. This was an accident, and the alien was the worst criminal of his dimension, and killed Janet's father. Janet discovered this and swore revenge on the creature, and went to Hank Pym for help. Hank agreed and gave her wings and antenna, and the necessary gear to become the Wasp. Together they took down the creature, and after that, Hank decided to keep Janet as his partner. The two became the dynamic duo known as Ant-Man and the Wasp, and went on several adventures. Throughout those adventures, Janet would often try to get Hank to admit his feelings for her, although Hank always tried to pretend like he didn't have them. Then, Hank and Janet participated in a battle with several other of Earth's mightiest heroes and defeated Loki. After the battle was over, Hank had a conversation with Janet. Then he turned to the other three there and said that him and Wasp had an idea. Janet and Hank had come up with the idea for them to stay together as a team. The others thought it was a good idea and agreed, to which Hulk asked, "What should we be called?" And then Wasp came up with a name that would be remembered forever: the Avengers. And they all agreed to stand united against the threats that no single hero could withstand. And since then, Wasp has gone on to be one of the most prominent and greatest Avengers of all time, and spending a decent amount of that time as leader of the team. Now to describe Wasp's powers. Henry Pym attached microscopic wings in between Wasp's shoulder blades. When Janet is normal sized, you cannot see them, but when she shrinks, the wings grow, allowing her to fly. Wasp is quite maneuverable with them and agile. She can fly around 50 miles per hour. Originally, Ant-Man and the Wasp used Pym particles stored inside their belts that they used to shrink or grow in either the form of a pill or gas. But eventually, over time, Hank and Janet had used the particles so much that their bodies stored them and began to produce them, so they can grow and shrink at will. When Janet shrinks, she shunts her mass to another dimension, and when doing so, she increases in density and strength, allowing her to carry people twice her size and be able to bend metal. This makes her like a very deadly bullet, allowing her to do things like fly straight through giant monsters' heads. On top of this, Janet can also grow, drawing on mass from another dimension. In Janet's giant form, she becomes immensely strong and durable, allowing her to duke it out with very powerful opponents and survive serious punishment. Janet was also given the ability to generate bioelectric blasts. Janet's biostings are very powerful. She used them to once subdue an entire team of X-Men. And when doing so, Janet explicitly stated that she wasn't even using half of her power to take them out, and that can even affect very powerful beings with superhuman durability. Janet can also manifest antennae from her forehead, similar to how her wings grow from her back, and she can use them to control several different types of insects, although she rarely uses this power. Janet was trained by Captain America for hand-to-hand combat, and her and Hank developed a special fighting style that combines martial arts with constant growing and shrinking. Although Janet is not a scientific genius like her father, she has a brilliant mind in several other ways. Janet speaks several different languages, including Spanish, Hungarian, French, and Italian. She even figured out how to speak the language of the microverse. Janet is also a brilliant fashion designer and businesswoman. Janet was already born rich, but with her company, she was able to make herself even wealthier and has a very well-known brand name. Janet has also used her talent to design herself many costumes over the years. And she has designed costumes for other heroes as well. Janet is the only Avenger to give Iron Man a run for his money for Best Closet. Janet was even able to write a script for a movie called The Coming of the Avengers. Janet was able to use her brilliant mind to be a good leader of the Avengers, to always have a level head. She was also extremely good at public relations and making a brand for the Avengers. What makes Janet a great leader of the Avengers, and the reason why she's loved by all of her fellow teammates, is that she's just a sweet and kind person. On top of that, she is very fun and outgoing, and is always ready for action, and wants to do as much good as she possibly can all the time. But what really sets Janet apart is her loving nature. Because of this, numerous Avengers come to Janet for advice, as they know that Janet will actually take the time to listen. In the past, Janet has quite literally been the Avengers' shoulder angel, breaking up numerous fights. Janet's ultimate sign of love and kindness is shown with her relationship with Hank Pym. Over the years, Hank and Janet always had a very strained relationship, and even when no one could see the hero in Hank, not even himself, Janet could, and always tried to bring it out of him. Recently, Hank Pym has been presumed killed by Ultron. And following this, Janet came into contact with Hank's long-lost daughter with his original wife, of which he was not aware. Nadia Pym, Hank Pym's daughter, was kidnapped and taken to the Red Room, where she was trained to become a Black Widow. And when they discovered that she had a brain like her father's, they tried to get her to recreate the Pym particles. Nadia was successful and used the Pym particles to escape. And when Janet met Nadia, she accepted her instantly. And when learning about Nadia's intense background, Janet took her shopping to try to make her feel like a normal girl. Janet took care of her, and she could see that same heroic spark that she saw in her father, in Nadia, and tried to nurture it as best she could, dubbing her the unstoppable Wasp and fighting alongside her as her mentor. Wasp will always be remembered as the heart of the original Avengers. Well, that's it for this video. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time.